So under this administration, people who are supposed to be leaders of tomorrow are in the forest with terrorists, while the leaders themselves are feasting and preparing for the election. So you will continue to see these shenanigans because we have built a system that rewards criminality and corruption, where integrity and staying by the rule of law may become more problematic for you. People are in DSS detention today for making a tweet about government. Somebody was detained, Justice Crack, he's still in court today for saying military officers should be fed properly. So when our intelligence is only able to go against people who are voices of dissent against government, while government on the other hand, THRE, a popular Islamic cleric, Mr. Sheikh Gumi, said on national TV, he said government knows where the terrorists are. They know their location, they know them by name. Has anybody invited Mr. Sheikh Gumi for questioning? What answers have been gotten? So what are we saying? Who is deceiving who? Until we end this circle and stop pretending to be asleep, we are all in trouble.
Nigeria must now confront a question that goes to the heart of its sovereignty. Who truly holds power in the places where fear reigns? The government or the bandits? Kidnapping has become an industry, a parallel economy sustained by weak enforcement, organized criminal networks, and desperate families forced to negotiate for the lives of their loved ones. The scale of this crisis is staggering. The National Bureau of Statistics estimates that between May 2023 and April 2024 alone, Nigerians paid roughly 2.23 trillion in ransoms. Security research organization SBM Intelligence also reported that between July 2024 and June 2025, at least 4,722 people were kidnapped in 997 recorded incidents. During that period, kidnappers demanded about 48 billion and received an estimated 2.57 billion in ransom payments. Behind those numbers are shattered families, traumatized communities, disrupted businesses, and a nation gradually becoming accustomed to the unacceptable. The cruelty is no longer hidden. Bandits now publicize their atrocities, flogging abducted children with until welts cover their bodies, torturing captives, tying children to rocks, and even beheading a teacher, all captured and circulated for the world to see. They abduct, negotiate, collect ransom, and too often walk away without consequence. We have heard the assurances, we have seen the delegations, we have been told operations are ongoing, yet Nigerians are still counting losses, raising ransom money, burying victims, and walking up to headlines that read like yesterday's news. And the question becomes, how long before fear itself becomes the country's most reliable system of governance?
Good day everyone. I just watched the video of those kids that they kidnapped in Oyo. No food, no shelter, no anything no anything. I saw one sleeping under the tree, and I saw one of them, they took their leg and put it and tie it to their head and put stone at their back. It's so fair. Nigerians, please let's pray for them. Please pray for them. They have no so they can meet their parents. Please let's pray for them. Thank you. Our government, please let my little voice count.
If that isn't harrowing to watch, I don't know what is. I mean, it just makes my heart bleed. But anyway, let me welcome my guests on the show tonight. So let's start with you, Cheta. Do you understand? Now, despite arrests and repeated security operations, kidnappings continue to escalate. From your research, what identifiable patterns have emerged in how kidnappers operate?
Thanks for having me. Good day. It's a very sad situation.
Tragic.
Extremely unfortunate. Now the kidnappers, basically they're expanding, and it's an economy in itself now. I would say that based on the numbers that we've seen. So, for example, last year we had roughly 2.5 billion naira paid out, and this is what we could track. The number one, I think it's important to point out that what was demanded was 48 billion naira in terms of ransoms. So saying that's just under 3 billion naira was paid out does not give the whole story, because there are many people who do not tell how much they paid. There are many people who do not even know how much they paid. They just gather and negotiate. So given those numbers, you would say, we could easily say that the kidnapping industry is probably the second highest employer of labor in the informal economy in Nigeria now. And that's a very scary prospect, because there's no kidnap in the kind of operations that happen now. There's nothing that can happen without a value chain participation of a lot of people. They have informants, they have lookouts, they have people who pick the money, they have a logistics chain behind them to help keep victims fed at the minimal levels to sustain life. So there's something that has happened, and the underlying word for all of it is impunity. Because for a very long time now, and we as an organization have been warning about this growing trend at least since 2017. That's 9 years ago. And it was in 2020 that we actually coalesced a lot of the data that we have been tracking and first published a report called The Economics of Nigeria's Kidnapping Industry. 2020 was 6 years ago. And since then, we've done it every year. And the problem keeps growing. So because basically we are in a situation where these criminals are getting paid and they're able to sustain their value chain, their supply chain. So it's profitable for them. And because it's profitable for them, it simply continues. And in continuing, it metastasizes and it grows worse. And that's where we are now.
Okay. Thank you so much, Cheta. Can we have Peter back? That's very gloomy answer that you have given, but this obviously reflects the reality on ground. Can we have Peter in the house? Now, Peter, good morning, good to see you. Now, we have had children become, why have children become such attractive targets for kidnappers? And what still, how do we make sense of this disturbing irony that some of the actual kidnappers accused of terrorizing communities have gone live on social media to offer cash giveaways, and people have willingly sent in their account details? What does this say about our collective moral fiber and the society that we have become?
Thank you very much for having me. How are the mighty fallen? A country that cannot protect its children is a country that does not care about its future. In terms of leadership, in 2013 and 2014, the current president stated that on issues of security, the buck stops at the president's table, and that if the then President Jonathan could not protect Nigerians, he should resign. Today, this is the legacy that President Chief Bl0w Tinubu is leaving for Nigeria's 3 years down the line of sorrow, tears, and blood. But to call Tinubu as a leader a failure will be an insult to failures. It will be a disservice to failures, because this is a kind of failure that other failures look up to and aspire to gain this kind of milestones. Remember that in 2025 June, Chief Bl0w Tinubu visited St. Lucia, a country in the Caribbean islands, and gave students scholarship in a foreign land. Meanwhile, in his home country, children are not even begging for scholarship. Nigerian children are only begging for an opportunity to wake up in the morning, dress up, go to school, and come back without ending up with terrorists in the forest. Today, as we are speaking, under the Tinubu administration, in 2024, Nigeria was the 6th most terrorized nation in the world. By 2025, we became the 5th most terrorized. Anti-root, in 2026, we are the 4th most terrorized nation in the world. But you know why our situation is peculiar? The government and the military of the 4th most terrorized nation in the world has a policy that is called Operation Safe Corridor. Under that policy, government gets terrorists that have killed children, mothers, fathers, officers, including military officers, organizes a ceremony for them, gives them a shoebi to wear, and say they have sworn to a holy book and they have now been repented. So the government commits taxpayer money to rehabilitate non-terrorists, while the victims of their mayhem and their anguish are still in internally displaced persons camp, and some with the terrorists in the bush. Nigeria has more than 18 million out of school children. Today, schools are still shutting down because we have made a multinational enterprise out of insecurity. And it will not end for as long as government seems to be complicit in what is going on. If Nigerians do not wake up and we continue to pander and talk about this situation without any tangible solution to ending this mayhem, my thoughts and prayers are with everybody, because as we speak today, a 2-year-old toddler, Christiana Kombi, is in the forest. And guess what the leadership is doing? The president and the first lady are engaging in a campaign for the re-election of this government. It is a tragedy, but unfortunately it will continue for as long as the people permit it. That is where we are. Children have become a soft target. They are taken, they pay ransom, and the cycle continues. Why? Because government has failed in its primary responsibility to protect life and property. A government.
Okay, but Peter, what do you want to say about the people who actually posted their account details to the kidnappers when they were giving monies away? What does that also say about our own moral fiber? Because people have actually posted their account details, and the bandits gave them monies. So what does that even say? What does that say about us as a people?
What are we supposed to do as a people when the government agencies that should be tracking criminals and terrorists are rather too busy going after critics of government? Anti-root terrorists in Nigeria have accounts, they make calls, they have medical supplies, and somehow the intelligence. So when you build a system of criminality, when you nurture criminality, criminality will develop and it will fester. That is why terrorists can come live on TikTok. But there are certain conversations we may have even on this news channel. Your safety may not be guaranteed, because maybe the people may see and think that you have become a threat to national security. How on earth are terrorists able to operate before the glaring eyes of the entire nation? And we have an intelligence unit in the military, we have a DSS, but somehow cannot track them. So are we going to leave the terrorists and then come after Nigerians who are engaging with them? What are the authorities doing with the information that they have? What are they doing with the persons that have been caught? We are rehabilitating them. They are repented. The people who may not have opportunities to repent are people like the teacher, Mr. Oyedoku, who has been beheaded on live television. Meanwhile, the people who beheaded him may come out tomorrow and just repent.
Okay, thank you very much, Peter. Let's get back to Cheta. The kidnappers are demanding 1 billion. The Oyo State House of Assembly member just said that they reportedly demanded 1 billion, and also insisted that their Sharia laws must be implemented into their system as a condition for the victims' release. So what has this emboldened? What has emboldened these broughts to operate with such brazenness? And what does it really reveal about the changing nature of insecurity in this country?
So, to answer the question about what has emboldened them, again, like I said in my first response, impunity, and like Peter mentioned in his response, basically, when you have a situation where it is clear or it has been clear for a very long time that it was a rewarding venture, people will get kidnapped and someone somewhere would arrange a ransom. And then you talk about the whole repentant criminals thing. So essentially it's the incentives. We have created a society where the incentives are perverse. Again, coming down back to your question on people sending their account details to kidnappers in order to get some of the loot. That's the classic thing there you are saying is the response to perverse incentives. Our society, very unfortunately, society where that rewards just having it. It doesn't matter how you got it. And until that changes, we need, it's a whole society thing, it's structural. We need an entire societal awakening about what is right and what is wrong. Until that happens, until we get to that point where how you got it does matter, we will keep seeing things like this, not necessarily in the form of kidnapping. Kidnapping may end because of its extremely violent nature, but we will see it in other ways.
Okay, now that you said that, they said that, I know that I was listening to a podcast where a colleague of yours was saying that there are certain times that kidnappers choose to operate, and also certain numbers that they can kidnap at a certain time. So run that through by us. What are usually, how do they operate? What are usually the best times, or when are they at their most dangerous for passengers?
So it used to be that it was in the night, but now it's increasingly in the daytime, because it's become very clear to us based on the patterns that they clearly have help from the local communities. And they incentivize those local communities, again going back to the theme of perverse incentives. They incentivize them by paying money, and this goes to the heart of the unfortunate economic situation in which the average Nigerian finds himself. We're in a situation where you could give an entire village just 100,000 naira and you own them. They will do whatever you want, and in that respect, that village becomes your intelligence apparatus. So,
yeah, but some of them they're kidnapped on the roads. They're not necessarily kidnapped in the villages.
Yes, but again, I talked about the supply chain logistics that the kidnappers need to keep the victims fed, to keep the victims in place.
Okay, so the village supplies them the food whilst they're in captivity.
They have to get the food from somewhere. We are yet to see one report of gangs of people carrying foodstuff across border, so which means that the food stuff is coming from somewhere relatively close. So, and food is just an example. So there's this movie that came out last year, THRE, on Netflix. It was very well researched, and credit to them, they cited one of our reports. It was very well researched in terms of the way an entire community can actually help in these operations. So, and note one thing: it happened on the highway, in the daytime, in the movie. That's what increasingly happens. The 3 schools that were attacked in Oyo State simultaneously, and I think that's the key word, they were attacked simultaneously during the daytime. Children are not going to be in school at night. They are going to be in school in broad daylight, and these attacks happened simultaneously. I read the account of one of the people who escaped, and she said it was one person who came out first, then others came out. So it means that the kidnappers had advanced intelligence, and that's a key thing. One of the problems of the Nigerian security establishment over the last few years is there's intelligence. They know what is going to happen, but they fail to act on it. The Nigerian security apparatus has been operating in silos for too long. So one of the things that is going to be necessary to break this cycle would be breaking those silos, acting on information ahead of time before we even get to the point of the incentives, because we've been too reactive for a very long time.
As opposed to proactive.
Proactivity needs to come on the table.
Okay. Now it's good that you mentioned that, because let me have Peter back in the house, please. Peter, you just listened to Cheta's last response about the government need to be more proactive in situations like this rather than reactive, which brings me to my next question. There's a growing perception that when it comes to political dissent or activists, enforcement is swift and coordinated. But when it comes to kidnappers and violent criminals, the response feels slower and less effective. What does this say about state priorities? Because he just said that government needs to be more reactive. They are reactive when it comes to arresting activists. Why doesn't this extend to armed robbers and bandits?
It should tell you where the priorities of the state lie. If you can have repentant terrorists, how many repentant activists who made statements have you seen been rehabilitated and given money? Let me make it clear, ma, that every government is more powerful than whatever criminals or criminal gang that operates around its territory. Whenever you see a government that seems to be helpless in the face of criminality, one thing is sure: such governments are complicit in the criminality. Once you are able as a government to detach yourself from the criminal network and you go forcefully against the criminals, you will not only crush them, you will protect your people. Nigeria is going around in a circle because we are yet to figure out the political wing of terrorism and insecurity. If we fail to end that political wing, the one in the bush will only continue to fester. I have stated it maybe even on this program, on this network. A governor who is an APC governor in Kebbi State came out in the open and made a statement. He said before there was an attack on the government girls secondary school in Maga in Kebbi State, we had intelligence. We deployed law enforcement, including military. They reported to the school. They took pictures with the students and the teachers and were there. Few hours before the attack, somebody gave an order for them to be withdrawn. They left and people came in and took children and killed the vice principal. The governor is asking the commander-in-chief who ordered troops out of that school. Till date, nobody has been able to answer. And then we go ahead and we say that the children were discovered. Ransom was paid. People have benefited. So when you continue to pamper terrorists, a country that is more concerned about taking care of repentant terrorists than protecting its own children. So under this administration, people who are supposed to be leaders of tomorrow are in the forest with terrorists, while the leaders themselves are feasting and preparing for the election. So you will continue to see these shenanigans because we have built a system that rewards criminality and corruption, where integrity and staying by the rule of law may become more problematic for you. People are in DSS detention today for making a tweet about government. Somebody was detained, Justice Crack, he's still in court today for saying military officers should be fed properly. So when our intelligence is only able to go against people who are voices of dissent against government, while government on the other hand, Anti-Root, a popular Islamic cleric, Mr. Sheikh Gumi, said on national TV, he said government knows where the terrorists are. They know their location, they know them by name. Has anybody invited Mr. Sheikh Gumi for questioning? What answers have been gotten? So what are we saying? Who is deceiving who? Until we end this circle and stop pretending to be asleep, we are all in trouble.
Thank you so much.